Hello everyone, I am sound producer and multi-instrumental musician. My name is DJ Moriarty. Just call me simply Eugene. So, this video is a kind of lesson how to produce house music nowadays. And you may ask me why you do this because of plenty of such videos on YouTube. And you know what I can answer. For first, I'm writing house music for more than 20 years. Another way, I am serious jazz musician. I play saxophone, trumpet, violins, keyboards, guitars, etc. I know many programs such Pro Tools, Logic, Ableton, Fruity Loops, Samplitude, different. I got many synthesizers and I know everything about it. Okay, I am not a star, but I have my own place in this market and you easily can check what I do. Just type this name, DJ Moriarty. And this is a kind of lesson how to produce house music. And in future I plan to explain to you and show how to make trap, lo-fi hip-hop, lo-fi trap, maybe lounge, maybe different kinds of music. What I want to answer you about guys who teach you to produce house music. You know, for 20 years, or maybe even for 15 or 10 last years, I understood and found out many tricks. And those guys who teach you to produce house music unfortunately don't know different subtle things you need to put in your creativity. And before this lesson, you decide whether to trust me or not. You just get acquainted to drops from my house tracks I already released in Germany, in different other countries. So, as you see, it's a kind of clubby music. It is not deep house where you just put drum loop, pad and a couple of leads, that's all. And it is not techno where you just combine different drums, percussion, different ambient sounds, and it is also everything you need. Those tracks are made with huge knowledge of harmony and at the same time they provoke you to dance. Anyways, I produced those tracks to make me dance, if you understand me. So, go ahead. First, you need to know about producing house music, from what to start. For example, you have notebook or netbook, and if you even don't have sound card, but you have MIDI keyboard, it's enough to make more or less dancey house groove. And this is what I want to show you right now. Sometimes we decide from what to start. And we just load in your DAW digital audio workstation some bass drum, kick, snare drum, bass synthesizer plugin, and we don't know what to do further. But I hardly recommend you to begin your working about house track from drop. In this video I want to share how to produce more contemporary stuff like bass line, bass house, deep bass, UK garage, like this. A kind of aggressive style but with harmony elements. Because you know, sometimes you buy some track or you pre-listen it from Beatport and you understand in your headphones some beats or Sennheisers that oh, it's produced very cool, everything sounds very clearly, all tracks sounds transparently, but you understand that there's no idea in this track, no phrase, no harmony, just a mess of different very quality sounds. And that's why I hardly recommend to start writing your house track from the main thing of it. What is it? You know it? Correct. It is a drop. It is a beat with all instruments. Because lyrics, couplet, different racings, acceleration before the drop, people don't dance to it. People are dancing to the beat, to the beat, to the drop, to the groove. For sure you understand me, yeah? So, in past, I also started to make house music from loop. But now, I start to produce it from the main idea I put in the track. What I mean? For example, if it is a kind of progressive house or progressive trance, the main thing in such a genre is a chord line. Fa 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 fa, and you understand such a development further. But now I prefer to start from bass part, because you know nowadays bass is a very important part of your dancing track, for sure. So now we will try to make such a sequence. We'll try to make bass, then we will put a couple of drums, but next one is the chords and different elements like leads, maybe helping sounds, etc. But our task now is to invent something interesting for your ear, not a mess of noises, not a mess of contradictory sounds inside. I hope you understand. You know, maybe 2 years ago I lost my hard drive, unfortunately. And when I started to restore my system, I just understood I don't need such a huge number of synthesizers I had before. And I installed maybe 3 or 4 main synths I used all the way. And I recommend to do the same for you, because you know, it is a big mistake to think that any new synthesizer will bring to your track something very beautiful, interesting, and it will decide your track. No, unfortunately. Moreover, I want to say that I use 2 synths, main synths, and 2 or 3 samples. It's enough. I fool all my arrangement with those instruments, and for me it is more than enough. And I'm sure that it is for you also will be enough. Moreover, I will use not a huge MIDI keyboard I just got a small MIDI keyboard for maybe 60 bucks. And it is enough if you have just notebook, maybe not expensive sound speakers or even headphones. Be sure, the main thing is your taste, fantasy, some rules I want to show you right now, and of course your wish, your desire to produce and create something interesting. So go ahead to my studio. So here we are in my modest studio, and as you see I have professional MIDI keyboard and a couple of hardware synthesizers, but I'll try to imitate the very beginner's place for work. I got very small MIDI keyboard for maybe 60 bucks, and if you got notebook, doesn't matter Windows or Mac, you got such a keyboard, headphones or very cheap any speakers for monitoring, it is enough, because everything depends on your taste and your idea you want to put in your creativity. So go ahead and we just make, for example, 6 instrument tracks. Unfortunately, Pro Tools needs to make all tracks separately, but it doesn't matter. You can use templates, or use, for example, Fruity Loops or Logic or Cubase or even Ableton. You know what to do, I hope. You are not a novice in this deal. As I said before, the main thing in your house track is the idea you put in. Any song, any track needs the phrases. Phrases may be produced by chords, bass. If it is techno, it is very important to pay attention to your drums. But here, as I said before, I'll try to find firstly the bass. Amazing English language. Bass means B-A-S-E and B-A-S-S. So in our case, those 2 meanings coincide. And the synthesizer I very like, so much like this synth, named Spire. For sure many of you know this amazing, admirable synth, produced by a company named Reveal Sound. And to avoid twisting the knobs on this synthesizer, I just load my favorite bass preset I made after overworking of some preset in this library. So it is not a problem. If we want to produce some bass house, bass line, something closer to UK garage, we need something very, very punchy and like a metallic, metallic sound, like this. Oh. Also, I'll try to do something in A minor, because A minor has no flats and sharps. All keys are white, but you can transpose it in any tonality, in any pitch. You hear? So this is my favorite sound right now. And let us invent some melody, because this melody of bass will be a main part, fundamental part of your track. And of course there is plenty of different variants, and it depends only on your taste and fantasy. But let me invent something dancey, interesting and melodic, but not funny. Contemporary house music, it's a music not for fun. Of course, you are in a club, but house music, for me, it is very serious genre. So let us make something more or less serious. Here I use not minor and not major. I use a kind of oriental scale, and it is very fashiony nowadays when second note is lowered. Many tracks you can recognize from such sound. But let us invent something like So I think the last round is more or less readable and interesting. So here I'm doing quantize, handly. Yeah, and we will remain first round and the last one, because first is like a beginning of the track and next one is like a development, racing of this. So here we have a bass loop. It's just an example, and you are free to invent anything. I just orient to bass house. And next thing we need to do is just make a sign of bass drum kick. For kicks I use very interesting plugin named Bass by Intelligent Sounds. It is very interesting VST plugin. Unfortunately I cannot twist those faders because it is wrapped from VST to Pro Tools language plugin. But I already have a couple of presets. For example, how to do bass drum here. Just drawing one note, return it to this view and duplicate just one kick for one bar, and then duplicate bass drum for a useful loop. Here we remove one kick for the end of the round and duplicate next. So now we have such a picture. What we hear here, the contemporary way producing kicks, I think, by my analysis, to remove the click from bass drum and make it as short as possible. And I also have a preset here, like this. You hear? Less click, more punch. And next we need to explore such a trick from house music called what? Sidechain, exactly, sidechain. Who don't know what is sidechain? I'll explain. Sidechain is like effect that is pushing all the musical canvas under kick. In house music it is very important because it gives you your track a punch, real house punch. And of course, first sound producers, maybe 15-20 years ago, achieved the result of sidechain by compressors. But nowadays, many plugins exist that imitate sidechain effect. And one of them I use very often is Nicky Romero's Kickstarter. You should know such a DJ, sound producer and musician, Nicky Romero. And what we have, just compare. Bass like goes up after each kick note. So now we have more or less readable basement with a bass, and I'll change the consequence of these tracks in my Pro Tools. And next one we just add some hats. In Pro Tools it is very useful plugin named Boom. And what I do, just duplicate kick bar and just shift the note to F sharp. If you know F sharp, it's usual note for hats. So what we have, you know what I mean? Here I like to add some syncope for the hat, before last hat in second bar. It's very cool. The next one trick, especially for house music based on garage style, is a quantize, but in a special way. It is a shuffle. I don't open America. You should know this. So what I do, I just open quantize. Pro Tools consists Logic's algorithms, and I like this one, Logic Swing 16th D. Apply and just compare. And your 16th move, and it gives punch. Absolutely, absolutely. I like it. I use it almost everywhere. Here I also make the same, apply, and on hats, because we have this hat, especially for this. Next I just duplicate this boom instrument to find snare drum for more whole picture. So we duplicated the bar with snare drums, and we have one round more or less readable and finished, if you want, if you like minimal. Not so bad, you agree? Okay. So we spent time for different Latino percussion or etc. I just want to share another one trick for exact contemporary basement of house music closer to UK garage and bass line. And maybe some of you know this trick. I prefer to do it not only in house music. You see, here is a snare drum instrument, and what I do, I take all the notes and you see I shift them a little bit ahead to land it some very small subtle punch, micro punch to all the canvas. Compare. Maybe too much, but I'm sure you understand what I mean. Maybe here. A little bit, it just compels you to be in a hurry in your track. It's a very basic preset for boom, Pro Tools is boom. And what we can do next, the next step is to find something accompany to our bass, maybe chords. So the next one plugin I want to advertise, but it's not publicity. Also, many of you for sure know it. It is Lenore Digital Silence. Now we want to find something like chords, yeah? And what we have on this preset. Holy shit. I know here very interesting chord. It's from usual library. Oh. It's completely house mood. You may remember it from middle of 90s when some producers used such chord from one note. When you use one note. Yeah, exactly like this. But too much delay. We need release. As I see here, release, it's not release here. Doesn't work. It depends on this section of filter. It means that release is closed by the filter and we just open it a bit. Are you here? And also here maybe. So let us find some part that will accompany our complicated, primitive bass. Okay, let me just copy this part and let us see what happens. That is not so bad riff, but it's a bit complicated. And you know, I just pushed a couple of notes here and suddenly realized what will fit this bass. So, as you see, I just put it further and pay attention what happens when I use such notes. So let us just record this loop. Okay, so here we are and we can develop this tonally, but we won't. We already have basement and okay, without small smart details, we already have a main rhythm, main loop, groove and canvas. So let me show you how to improve this sound from the start. And I urge you to do this in some of middle of nowhere. Kidding. In the middle of the track. When you have a drop where you can put percussions, everything it depends on your taste and fantasy and your payment and your fee and your rent of your small room. Cynic way of my kidding, sorry. So anyways, we have the main loop and Everything is punchy, I think, and first thing you need to put the limiter on your master track. I use very useful and simple limiter, and moreover it is very clear and is amazing thing, especially it is absolutely for free. Thomas Mund VST Loud Max also. It doesn't display it because VST converted and didn't convert the graphic face properly. So anyways, when you restart it, -9, it's enough. Feel the difference? Yeah. A bit louder chords, and despite on this all sounds not bad, because plugins themselves actually sometimes sound very properly, and sometimes you don't need to twist knobs on your equalizer compressor, but we will do because I know some tricks. For first, put the equalizer. I use FabFilter Pro Q as many musicians do. It's very important to do a low cut and high cut on all instruments, because when your mastering section works, it may suck. It not may, will suck all the bass. I put low cuts and high cuts on every instrument and recommend it to do for you. Yeah, cool. Next one, what we need for kick drum. I like this plugin. It is a bass rider by Waves. So what we have now. Before or with. It's a bit lower, but we can compensate it. And maybe also I'd remove this click from kick to do not annoy modern ear and some very fashionable guys who will say, oh, listen producer, remove this click from bass drum, are you kidding? So it's much more better, but here I'd love to regulate the range. Oh, like this. Feel it? Not so shoes on your ass. Next one. Boom. Also, by the way, if we try to give some colors to our tracks, so I like to use doubler, doublers for hats. Compare. Doubler 2. Yeah? And just make this parameters a little bit lower. You hear it started to breathe. And the same, no, not the same, or maybe the same, yeah, for snare drum. Yeah, much more value. And what I like to do with snare drum, a little bit of ambience, drum ambience, to land some vitality to it. Oh, that's it. Oh, yeah. So open next instrument. And what is about mixing? You know, several rules. The first and very important rule I already shared. It's make low cuts on your all instruments. Use equalizers, and preferably first before compressor. Here there are no compressors, and maybe it's enough for sound, you know. Depends on your taste, and maybe I'll finish this part, and maybe anyways we get acquainted to the basis of producing modern contemporary bassline track. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and at least we produced a basement. What we did, we found a bass, we put a bass drum, corrected it, then we used sidechain compressor, added a little bit of drums, and then we found main chord that is accompanying the bass and making all this structure more harmonic way. So I hope you liked it. Please comment what you think about it, what to add maybe next video, and I'll try to continue to work with this track together with you. Bye guys! Love house music. And you may play with these knobs tonally, but remember to choose one and only proper way. I'll say this. And you know what guys, the day before I recorded this video I decided to train, and this is what I have written on the same setup, so please also check out.